Jesse Johnson, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you, man?
Good, good. Yeah, I follow you. Just heard you recently on the Bow Hunting Soul podcast with Emra. He's a good friend of mine, and he actually texted me after that episode. And he goes, "You really need to talk to this guy. He loves everything outdoors and really loves to fish. And Emra's not a fisherman, so
Right.
you know,
Yeah. No. No. I've been following you for a while, so that's cool.
I
That's cool. I
appreciate.
enjoyed talking to him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, really good guy. Yeah, he came down last year and pig hunted with me. We had kind of a rough hunt, but we
Gotcha.
tried.
I get you. Doesn't it? I think Dalton comes down and hunts with you some too, huh?
Yeah,
Stick boy.
he comes down every year. Like I'll go up and hunt with him because I lived in Florida for the last 20 years. Just recently moved to North Carolina. So yeah, we would trade hunts. He'd trade come down to hunt hogs a couple times a year, and I go up deer hunt with him a couple times a year. So, and we
I
also
get you.
fish together. So we're a lot
Cool.
closer now. Like geographically, he's 3 hours away. So that's nice. Instead of like 12-hour drive. That sucks. And I'm a
Yeah, that does
teacher.
suck
Yeah, I'm
for
a
sure.
teacher, so I'd have to, just do long weekend hunts with him and try to get it done with a stick bow. And 3 days is not always easy,
I
But
gotta get your feet wet on that.
yeah, but it's fun trying for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And you got into the outdoors young, right? Through the family, through your
Yes,
dad,
sir.
granddad, or
Yeah, my grandfather and uncles. I mean, we always had a deer camp, so I grew up going up there, whatever season it was, or fishing ponds, whatever. So, yes, sir.
that's awesome. Yeah, my father was not really an outdoorsman. He loved sports, like organized sports, but wasn't in the outdoors. But my grandfather was totally. He got me fishing when I was probably 2 or 3 years old. Stocked ponds, for trout and catfish, and yeah, he really got me hooked very young. And then
Oh,
the hunting thing just kind of came on its own. I've just always been fascinated by archery, especially. But yeah,
right,
it's I
right.
I would love to have had mentors at a young age, for hunting, because a lot of it I just had to learn on my own, which is great. I mean, it's good. Um,
Right.
it's true because you're not. It's not secondhand. If you,
Right. First-hand experience, a lot of mistakes, trial by error type thing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which came first for you? Was it the hunting or the fishing, or was it kind of same time,
Oh,
or
man.
camping, or
So I'm trying to think about it. Never been asked that. Honestly, my mom's side of the family, her dad and her brothers are bigger fishermen. And man, I grew up in South Louisiana. I didn't grow up in
Mhm.
Texas.
Yeah.
I don't really remember an age the first time I went fishing. We do have a funny old home video of my grandfather taking me to pond catfishing, but I probably fished first, and then as I got older and could go up to the deer camp and stuff and do all that, I started hunting probably a lot, like kind of not just sitting in the stand with Popo, but actually enjoying it when I was 8 or 9.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
So, but I couldn't really tell you the first time I fished. I think I probably caught like my first brim or something. I was like 3 or 4.
Same here. Yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah,
took me to I think it was a stocked trout pond. There's a picture of me somewhere holding a stringer of trout, and
yeah,
just like as soon as the bait hit the water, they were on. They were just stupid. Like,
right,
but we kept them. You kept everything back then. But
yeah,
yeah, that's a
it,
great
yeah.
memory.
I mean, yeah. Some of those are the best memories. And when I was a kid, just as soon as I can really remember, we grew up in a pretty rural area, and we were always camping outside and doing stuff like that. So I was blessed. Just was kind of born into a family that was outdoorsmen. So
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah, I
sir.
really grew up in the suburbs and outside of Buffalo and New York. Well, born in Michigan, but grew up in Buffalo more or less. And there were woods. There's actually still a patch of woods behind the house I grew up in. So, we'd go out and bow hunt. We didn't even. I don't think my friends and I. We didn't even realize there were even seasons. Just like shooting at squirrels and birds,
For sure.
just flinging arrows at whatever, anything that moves, frogs, fish, whatever. And so it's just cool for me. That was like a formative time in my life in terms of the outdoors, getting into it, because yeah, all I had to do was jump the fence and I'm in the woods, in the fields, and
Yeah.
yeah, just it's a great lifestyle, great for kids. And I've got one son, he's 18, and we deer hunt together and fish together. And I started them young, but I didn't want to overdo it, because you can burn kids out young. But so far so good. It's stuck. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that deer right there actually was the back 30 acres behind our house that I had permission to hunt. So dad could see where I hunted at from the porch. So I kind of grew up the same way, just running around with friends and didn't know there was season, just shooting every squirrel or robin we saw.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Any kind of Tweety bird, doves. I even shot a skunk once at night. Actually, I shot actually under it and hit. It was dark. It was just out in these fields and saw a skunk. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you shoot a skunk when you're 10 years old?
I gotta try it. Yeah,
Yeah, but I
one of
shot
those trial
low.
and errors.
Yeah, I shot low and hit some rocks underneath it, and the sparks went everywhere, and the thing just jumped about 3 feet up in the air, and I was like, no, and sprayed, and I was like, nah, that arrow staying right there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Funny.
great time, great memories. And then so when you were fishing, was it bait and hook kind of stuff, and or was it spinning rods? I mean, I assume you got into fly fishing later, right?
Right. Yeah. We can get into that whenever you want to. But yeah, when I first started off, it was, classic Zebco 33 and, worms on a hook, and then got a little bit into bass fishing. So beetle spins and all that stuff, just easy stuff for kids to throw. And then got into the fly fishing a little bit later on.
Uh-huh. Who introduced you to fly fishing?
Actually, so my grandfather actually I got a picture right here. Let's see if I can show it to you. My grandfather actually, uh,
Oh,
there we are.
nice.
Uh, he took me to some farm ponds. So he never really got big into fly fishing, but he loved to go catch brim on a popping bug or bass. So when I was probably like 10 or 11, he got me a 4 weight and taught me how to fish and popping bug. And we did that all the time. We'd go down to his pond on his property and catch bass on it. And uh, I didn't, and that was it for a couple of years. Like we would do that once or twice. I didn't really realize there was a lot of fly fishing outside of northern trout fishing.
Hmm.
So it really wasn't until the probably last 3 or 4 years that I've gotten back into it and heavy and realized that there's a lot of warm water fly fishing. And I'd drive up and still do some trout fishing and all that stuff. But a lot of my stuff around here is bass, carp, and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I lived in South Florida for the last 20 years, so I did a lot of backcountry kayak fishing for tarpon and snook, and that's a blast. But I
Oh,
my first fish were bass and panfish on fly rod, and that's just bread and butter, and that's kind of the fishery here. We do get some the couple rivers around Raleigh do get some runs of shad. That's actually going on right now, just started. White bass and stripers, so I'm super stoked about that, just because I've never caught any of those species, so just to get them
yeah.
to try for them, just try to figure out, crack the code, kind of thing, and kind of try to do it on my own. And it's really close, like the Neuse River's 10 minutes from here, so yeah.
Yeah, my last post, our white bass run has started, so we've already started catching them on the fly rod. And once you do that, you'll love it. It's addicting.
Yeah, yeah, guys are already killing me online and posting on like local on Facebook pages. Had 100 fish day yesterday. I was like, you got to be kidding me! You're killing
Yeah,
me. I teach school, so like I want to be out in the water now.
I
you know,
understand.
calling sick tomorrow, but the weekend's coming, so yeah,
There you go.
very
Get
excited.
after it.
And for me, it's like I'm not a glamour fish guy. I just like to get a bend in the rod, and especially if it's a fish I haven't caught before, that just and try to figure out a fly they'll eat, and I almost want to just not Google too much or get on YouTube too much and learn too much before I actually go and do it myself.
Yeah, I'm the same way. People get a wrong idea of what fly fishing is. I'll throw a fly at anything that will bite. Just
Yeah,
about the bend in the rod, I guess. What is that
yeah,
they call it? They say the tug's the drug.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I've caught all kinds of weird fish I used to be part of a South Florida fly fishing club. I'm not even sure if it's around anymore, but every year we had a species contest, like as many
15.
species you could catch on fly rod. And I went I think I had 39 or 40 one year. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, but I traveled some, I went to New York, went to Michigan, went to Colorado. So I had some, northern species, but the majority were in Florida. Like I caught a couple mullet on fly. Um, golden shiner on fly, like tiny little trout flies. So just anything counted.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, if you can catch it on a fly rod, it counted.
That's
Yep.
fun.
Yeah,
That is a lot of fun. We did like a 15 species challenge last year, and I got hung up on 14. I could not land a carp to save my life.
they can be
Uh,
tough.
oh, they drive me insane.
That's a huge fishery here. We moved here in July.
Okay.
So I'm kind of looking forward to the spring, the spawn, and it's really a big deal. Like the Orvis shop here has workshops on tie-in patterns for trout, or for carp, how to fish for them, where to go, that kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah, and they're a freight train when you hook them for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think there's something in them, and you might tell me if I'm wrong. Somebody told me there's not a chemical in their body that makes them tired. Like they don't really wear out or something. And they'll just fight and fight and fight. So they pick up those little bitty flies, but they've made me pull my hair out.
Yeah, yeah, they're tough. They can be very tough.
I got a buddy that calls them a dirty water redfish.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I think the fighting ability. In South Florida, we had the grass carp too. I don't know if you have those there, but they get gigantic. But the common carp fight way, way harder. I mean,
I believe that's what the name they have is common carp.
Yeah. Yeah, the grass carp, I think they're from the Orient. They brought them in to control weeds in the canals in South Florida. They're huge. I mean, like 20, 25 pounds, some of them. But in my experience, at least they just don't fight worth a darn. I mean, the common carp put them to shame,
Right.
I don't know what it is. They quit easy. They'll go back and forth a couple times and then they'll give it up, just turn belly up.
Yeah. Big old log laying in the water.
Just a log. Yeah, basically.
Right.
They're impressive because they look good in a picture, but they're like a 5-pound common carp will put that thing to shame.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's next for you in terms of is it the white bass going on now, or is it largemouth soon, or?
Yeah, so right now we're doing white bass. I've already had a couple good trips doing that. I'll probably do that through end of March. I mean, it will stay good through April, but I kind of go through the seasons. So I'll do white bass for a little while, and then at the end of March, my family's going up to Oklahoma, and we'll do some trout fishing up there. Our closest trout fishery that actually will hold fish over throughout the year. So we'll do that, and then April and May, me and my dad will get pretty heavy on the bass, and bass, crappie, do some carp fishing. So that's pretty much it. I'm not doing too much turkey hunting this year. Our turkey numbers are so depleted and low. So it will mainly be just warm water bass, carp, crappie, panfish.
Yeah.
So I'll do some spin fishing too for all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. Yeah. I guided for a long time in Florida, and I've got a leftover trip that I donated 2 years ago. And the guy, well, then COVID happened. Maybe it was 3 years ago. Then COVID happened. So I'm going down in March to the Everglades to guide a couple guys.
Cool.
I think it was a PBS guy. It's either Compton or PBS.
Very nice.
He's probably a member of both. But anyway, so him and his buddy. So that I'm looking forward to that. And it's like 2 weeks out from that. So my wife and I are gonna fly down, rent a truck, rent kayaks, and then take those guys out to the places I used to guide. But March is a good time of year to fish out there. So it should be fun.
Saltwater's definitely on the bucket list. I haven't got to do it, but one of these days it will happen.
Yeah. It's an unusual fishery because it's really brackish water. So you can have bass, you can have peacock bass, tarpon, and snook all in the same spot. So
Man, that makes for a fun day.
Yeah. You
A
don't know
lot of the same flies for all of them.
Yeah, they'll eat all the same stuff. Yeah, it's small like deceivers and small clousers and anything that the bait fish out there are very small. They're like an inch and a half long. So any predator fish is going to eat those. So
yeah, I haven't found anything that won't eat a clouser.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, although in the warmer weather, I like to fish topwater for tarpon and snook because it's just amazing to see them come up and crush a fly on top. But popper, gartside gurgler.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Very cool.
best too. Yeah.
Very cool.
How far do you have to go to fish? Do you have fishing right around you, or do you got to travel?
Oh, yeah. The warm water stuff is anywhere from a walk away to a 30-minute drive, an hour drive, to a 5-minute drive. Pretty much do whatever. My home fishery, I guess, would be the Brazos River, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive. But that's just because I love that fishery. It's just a huge river system. But I mean, all of our lakes in here, I'll put my kayak in and go fish them locally. We have a lot of feeder creeks that come off the Trinity River through the town I live in. I mean, that's some of my favorites, just getting in like 2 foot deep water. And it's amazing the size creek bass I've pulled out of some of this tiny water that no one fishes them, because I don't think anybody fishes them. And you throw a clouser or a popper in there and just some really good bass crush it. So,
And these are largemouth, right?
Largemouth, and a lot of them are spotted too, but largemouth, yes, sir.
Okay, that's cool. And then and I watched one of your videos a couple days ago. You were calling these fish sand bass. Is that the same as a white bass?
Yeah, that's what Texans call them. They're called sandies. But yeah, white bass, same thing.
Okay, I was gonna say it just looks like a white bass to me.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm sure it's the same up there. And from what I understand on my research, white bass originally, I guess, river fish, and we started putting them in our big reservoirs. So in the spawn, they run up all of our creeks, and hundreds of thousands will be slammed into the creek. And it's about 30 to 60 days of just madness, where if you catch one, you'll catch 40 of them.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast. I love it. Love that idea.
It's fun.
It's supposed to rain tomorrow, unfortunately, so I may have to wait till Sunday. I have plans to go Saturday, but I may have to let the water come down a little bit, just because it's new water to me. I don't want to be in a kayak in rough water,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
If you ever make it up to North Texas, just tell me when. We'll go fish.
that would be awesome. I'd love that.
Yep.
Never caught a spotted bass either.
Yeah,
So
they're
another
cool.
species.
They got an attitude to them, but they're fun.
Cool.
Yep.
And you want to talk equipment? Like, what do you use for them when you're fly fishing in general?
Yep. So I started out, I mean, like my first, everybody what are those called? Martins from Academies.
Yeah, I had the same thing.
Yeah. My first one I bought that was a decent setup was an Orvis Clearwater. 5-weight. I had a good friend that kind of helped me help me up my level of fly fishing. And he just said, get a 5-weight for now. You can take it to trout fish, but you can also catch bass on it. And I ran that thing for a couple years. And then I discovered that TFO is like 15 minutes from me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Got to know some of the guys down there and started fishing their rods. So I rotate now between a 6-weight TFO Axiom, a TFO Axiom 8-weight, and the 8-weights. If I'm going somewhere with big bass and big carp, 90% of the time I'll have the 6-weight, and then I also have a 3-weight. I think that's a Moonshine. It's a beater rod. It's just for creek tight water kind of tactical fishing. But between those three, a 3-weight Moonshine, 6-weight TFO, and an 8-weight TFO kind of handles everything for me.
Yeah, I've mostly used TFOs the last maybe 15 years because their warranty is great. They're tough rods. They're hard to break. And although I have several, I broke the tip on. I have to send in eventually. But my favorite is go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was saying I snapped the tip on a TFO Pro 2. I went down to their warehouse and I told him, I said, hey, I snapped this tip. It's totally my fault. And the guy was like, walk outside and walk in and tell me it accidentally broke. And I walked in, and he literally just handed me a new one. He's like, good luck, man. I'm like, thank you. Nice. So I was a TFO fan ever since then.
Yeah. They got a great program. And I use the Pro 2 series for most of them because I like rods that are like medium fast, not super fast. When I used to bonefish a lot, I had what was this is over 10 years ago, whatever the TICR, I think it was. Okay. Now they've got a rod that's replaced that, but it was like a real fast, like, could throw the full fly line with it. Crazy, like on big flats. But I like fly rods that you can really feel load and unload. And they're really good for casting quick. If you have a target, a fish in close range, you don't want to have a stiff rod. You want to have a rod that'll load quick and just get the fly in there as soon as possible. So those softer rods I actually prefer.
Yeah, I love my Pro 2. We'll see. I really liked my Axiom last year, so we'll see. I'm going to make the decision this spring if I'm going to go back to the Pro 2 or stay on that Axiom. Axiom's a little bit of a stiff rod.
Yeah.
It's got a backbone to it, but we'll see.
Probably for bigger flies would be good. Poppers and big streamers.
Yeah.
And
So I
carp.
mean, some of our reservoirs around here in Texas, like very easy, you can get a 5-6 pound bass. So
Mhm.
having some, a little bit more backbone's nice.
And probably in the wind too, if the wind kicks up. Yeah,
sure.
definitely stiffer rod's better.
For
Yeah.
sure.
What you mentioned the Clouser, what other flies do you like?
So I'm pretty basic on my flies because I'll drive myself insane wondering what I need to switch. So if I put together a box, I'm gonna have a popper in it. And then depends what y'all
Any
call
particular, you have a favorite color or?
it. Probably green and
Green.
black, or I call them honeybee, yellow and black.
Mhm.
So those are my favorite. Although I will say last year I was fishing with a buddy, and I've never seen this really happen, but you were not catching fish unless you had a purple popper. I
Huh.
threw everything but a purple, and we never figured out what was hatching or what was on the water, but there was something about purple that was triggering them. So I'll have some purple ones in my box, but I think we chatted about it. It's the I tied my own. They're the double barrel foam seducers.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
That's my go-to popper with just I don't know, I'll put bucktail on the back, do some other stuff. They get torn up so easy. So I'll have a popper, and then I think they call them a gurgler sometimes, where you flip the popper head around
Yeah,
where it darts in and out.
like a slider.
Slider, that's what it is, a slider. And then I'm gonna have a Clouser, a bucktail deceiver. I still like the classic woolly buggers. Like there's some days that a woolly bugger just catches fish.
Yeah.
And then subsurface, I haven't got too much into the sink lines because a lot of the stuff I do is I'm carrying a fly rod and I'm also hiking or camping. So I normally just keep the spool with the floating line on.
Mhm.
But if I do fish subsurface, I'm going to have a crawl pattern, or I just forgot the guy's name, Yamasaki or something, but it's like a Senko. It looks like a Senko. It's made out of yarn.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. I've never used
it. They call it a trash fly, but man, when it's slow, sometimes I've caught a lot of fish on those.
Mm-hmm.
But between those 6 or 7, if I'm not catching fish on those, then I'll call it a day.
Yeah. It's funny, like especially bass fishing, but also in the Everglades. Like I'll have a whole box of flies and I'll use one. Like one, a white deer hair with a rat bunny tail, and just it'll be destroyed by the end of the day. But guess what? They're still eating it, still working, and why mess with it? It's just. And also because I film a lot of my outings, the white shows up really good on camera.
Oh yeah, true.
There are days where I'd probably catch more on like a brown, the same fly but in brown or black, but you can't see it. So I just kind of learned to use white just for the camera more than anything.
If I could find a good method for dyeing bucktail, so where I could do like a brown or a dark color Clouser, I don't know if I'd fish anything other than a Clouser. If I could figure it out, I've tried the RIT dye, I've tried soaking it and stuff, and I can't get it to hold the dark color.
And you just can't find brown bucktail, like dyed, that's commercially dyed?
No, I mean, I can, but I'm weird. I like using stuff from the deer I killed the past season.
Oh yeah.
But I will use it. Like if I'm going to a good fishery that the point of the trip is catching fish, then I'll definitely bring flies that I don't tie.
Yeah, I have some bucktails. I'm at my fly time bench that these are all commercially like dyed. But the thing is, you can tell they're commercial because they don't smell bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mine. Here's the other.
Might stay in the freezer.
Yeah, I should do that. This thing. Yep. If my wife smelled this, she'd probably vomit. It's just, and they're crooked and all. Look at here. Look, that's one that I killed. It works though. It works, and it smells bad, but maybe that actually adds to the attraction for the fish. Who knows?
Yeah, trying not to be too much of a nerd, but there's nothing cooler than catching bass on a tail of a buck you killed the year before. Like that's cool to me.
Oh yeah, or squirrel tail. I'll use squirrel tail too, and
especially for duck.
I used to live in Iowa, and I would shoot pheasants every fall, and then trout fish with a lot of the tie pheasant tails. But I like that whole the full circle, right?
Right, for sure. Yep, it's kind of a kicker that our turkey population has gone down so much because For the first time ever, I just had to buy
Oh,
some traditional turkey feathers. Like obviously on my other arrows, I'll use colors and stuff, but I like using the feathers from my turkeys, but we just don't have the turkeys anymore. I didn't shoot one last year.
what's the theory on that?
I don't know. NWTF has said a lot of different things. I think if I had to give my answer on it, I think trapping is non-existent now. 2 years ago, we had a very abnormal freeze in Texas in April that was almost in the negatives for about 7 days, and I
Wow.
think it killed thousands of turkeys. I think. I mean, it used to be during deer season, I'd see flocks of 20, 30 turkeys. Early spring, you'd see them in the field. I did not see one turkey from the deer stand this year, and I've gone out twice now and I haven't heard one bird gobble in the morning time.
Wow.
So hopefully
That's
they'll
not,
bounce back. I've heard that turkeys do that, that you have strong years and bad years, but there's one place that I know about that's got a good population of birds that I might go try to sneak one out of, but I'll probably just mainly fish this spring.
yeah, nothing wrong with that. I'm
Yep.
actually looking forward to turkey hunting again. I hadn't done it in so long because I grew up hunting Easterns, but then in Florida, it's so hard to get permission to hunt Osceolas, so I've only killed one. I actually guided for several, um,
Okay.
like true trophy class Osceolas when we were doing pig hunts. Um, but I just the last few years I haven't anywhere where they're just to hunt them, other than public land, and I'm trying to kill them with a stick bow on public land in South Florida. It's just very, very tough. So
Good
anyway,
luck, right?
what's
Yeah.
that?
Good luck on that.
Yeah,
Public
exactly.
turkey hunting with a stick bow.
Yeah, exactly. So I got a friend here that's got private properties. So he's like, yeah, man, you gotta come check it out this spring. So I'm psyched about that. So I gotta start we just moved to a new house, so I got a yard I can shoot in, and there's woods behind it. I haven't heard any turkeys. There's definitely deer around, but I just my main point is I can practice now. Like I'll probably set up a blind, set out a turkey target, and practice those short range shots out of a blind, because I think that's what it'll be. Like a 5 yard shot. But you can at least I can blow that shot.
Oh, I have blown that shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've
Yep.
shot my entire quiver at a turkey one time, but
Mm.
started out close and it went further and further away, and just didn't cut a feather, but just it was in my head.
Yeah, I've only killed one with a bow, and it was with a compound. I've never been brave enough to try with a stick bow.
Hmm.
So, but yep, it's fun.
It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. For just haven't done it in a long time, so it's something I miss. And like I said, like you were saying, turkey season and fishing season are coincide, so usually I would just choose fishing over.
Same here.
But yeah, let me
Same here.
let me pause it there for a sec.
But
Can you
it's a
can you
little
show me
short.
that again?
Yeah, it's just a little bluegill fly, EP fiber. Like you said, it's got a pretty good hook in it.
Yeah.
I wrapped the hook in some wire. Can you see that?
Yep, I see it.
But
Just so it
yeah,
tracks better. So
yeah, it just tracks better. I think they call it kill or keen or something.
yeah,
But yeah, it pulls through the water, and talk about some vicious bites on bass, especially when bass are sitting on beds, because I don't know if the bluegill come and mess with the eggs or not, but some nasty bites on it.
that's cool. Yeah, and it seems like when I tie AP flies, I use a heavier hook because it acts like a keel. It does.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they want to ride kind of like cockeyed like that, which can
yes, sir.
work,
Yeah.
but it doesn't track as well, with a light hook. Yeah.
EP can be challenging to tie. It could frustrate you.
Yeah, I sell flies online, and it's there when I get orders for them. I just like, oh god.
I didn't know you sold flies. I'm gonna have to put an order in. So I do
No,
like
man.
fishing with flies.
I'll
People
just
that I know
send
that
I'll
have.
just send you some. It's called Everglades Flies on Etsy, but I get a lot of orders for Clousers, a lot of orders for the EP flies, and then Guardside Gurglers, because
Okay.
a lot of my clients are from the Southeast, mostly Florida, but I get people from all over. I just had a sail to Hawaii a few weeks ago,
Right.
Alaska, but typically it's the Southeast or Midwest.
Right.
But yeah, it's been cool. It's been,
Right.
and it keeps me tying, because you can only tie so many flies for yourself. You don't go through that many. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's fun to tie for other people, and they'll send me pictures. Like I caught this. Like I've tied flies for peacock bass in the Amazon. It's just neat.
Yeah, I was trying to find a fly that I'm trying to perfect right now. I think I got one in here somewhere, unless I lost it. Oh yeah, I've been working on my crawl pattern a little bit. This one's a little bit messed up, but just doing a
I might
weighted crawl pattern.
Let
It's
me
like I
put my
said,
glasses on. Hold on. Oh yeah, that's cool.
yeah, they're cool flies. Like I said, that one's messed up. That one got put away a little bit wet, but
So those are
I
the
gotta improve
claws.
that pattern. I haven't figured out a crawl that is good for me. Maybe just order some from you.
You'd have to teach me how to tie that one. I have no clue. I don't get a lot of calls for those, but yeah, there's a smallmouth bass run in Western New York where I grew up, and I got a buddy that's a steelhead guide. And then when steelhead season ends in the spring, he guides for like a month and a half for smallmouth. They come into the same creeks, and they're anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds smallmouth, and I tied all these like elaborate. I did some research about which flies would work for smallmouth because I mostly fish for largemouth, and we ended up using one fly the whole the whole weekend, just like a black. There were two flies that worked: a black leech, and you just let it sit on the bottom and bump it a little bit. The water's crystal clear. You see them eat it. It's amazing, and that was killer. And then like an emerald shiner, like a small little bait fish pattern, and
Okay.
you could catch them on other things, but those just got their attention. Like you could tell they were just keyed in on that, like that leech pattern, and yeah, it's really cool. I had a
Right.
I
I
had
had
a
a
box
trip
full of 30 different flies, 30 different patterns. I never got to
everywhere.
the water. Yeah.
Yep. I had a trip 2 years ago. We went up to Upper Illinois River in Oklahoma, and it was probably one of the best single days of fishing I've ever had. We caught 40 smallmouth, all on the fly, kayaking, just a blast. And the last 500 yards, I flipped the kayak and lost my GoPro, lost my phone. Oh, it would have been an awesome video. Lost all the
Oh,
pictures. I had caught some beautiful, just dark colored smallmouth. It was a dampener. It was a bummer.
jeez. That sucks. What happened? Was it just rough
Uh,
water or just made a mistake or?
Typical fishing. Had a big boat come by and blew us off the creek and got me up against some rocks. And there was nothing. I had to bail out because I was going to tear up my kayak. And when I got off, it kind of catapulted it and boom, stuff went flying.
Dang.
It
That
was
sucks.
frustrating.
Yeah, that
So
sucks. And
you
then
got
when
to
you're
watch for that around here. Some of the recreational boaters, man, they'll about throw a kayak
they don't
off.
care.
They don't care. They're fly through.
Yeah,
So
that sucks.
yep.
Yeah. I The places I fish is like none of that basically, just because it's backcountry stuff. And the Neuse River, it's more like a paddling river, so it's shallow. There's no power boats to speak of. Farther down, like closer to the coast, because it does go out to the saltwater. But up
Right.
here, 2 hours from the coast, it's just kayakers and maybe a john boat once in a while.
I think that's why I love the Brazos. It's rural. It's beautiful. There's not big boats running up and down it. So
Hmm.
it's cool. It's cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
Let me pause it there for a second. Just gonna look at my notes. What's your favorite fish? I mean, is it trout? Is it bass? Is it what if you had to pick one to go for the rest of your life and
I
travel and time was not
uh,
a problem?
yeah. Of things I've caught, I mean, obviously I couldn't say stuff that I haven't caught is my favorite, but things I've caught, um, man, I probably just love bass. I just they're so aggressive. They're explosive. They fight good. They're just fun to me. It's what I grew up doing the most.